Hi, and welcome to Spanish 101, and today we're going to do an introduction to the verb ser and the verb estar. By the end of this video, we are going to be able to recognize what's the main difference between these two verbs and how are they different from the relative in English, which is the verb to be. So to start with, I have here an example. Here we have a green apple, and here we have an unripe apple. So this is going to be a very good example of the differences between English and Spanish and how we use the verb ser and estar in a different way that it works in English. For example, in English we know that we can say the expression, or we can say something like the apple is green to either mean a green apple, just a characteristic of that apple, or the state of an apple, an apple that is not quite ready yet to be eaten. So that would be the difference. And in English, this way works to express both of these situations, but in Spanish it's going to be different, and that's what we're going to be learning. So for example, here a green apple, we're talking about an essential characteristic. That's the color of the apple. And here we're talking about a state or a condition. In this case, it's an unripe apple, and we know that eventually it'll be ready to eat. So that's the main difference between these two. And if we look at it in a different way, we used to describe what something is. In this case, it's a green apple. This is a green apple, and how something is. In this case, the apple is unripe. So now let's look at the example, but using the Spanish, or using the Spanish ser and estar. In this case, la manzana es verde. We use es to describe something that it's an essential characteristic. And if we look at this example, la manzana está verde, so we're using that to describe a state or a condition. Okay? And basically, what something is, when we try to talk about what something is, we use ser, and how something is, we're going to use estar. So that will be the biggest difference. So let's look at another example. So here we have a picture of a few students, and they seem to be meditating, or they're just quiet. So here we have some young students and quiet students. So in Spanish, if we're talking about the essential characteristics of this group of people, we know that they are young, so we're going to use the verb ser. Los estudiantes son jóvenes, because that's their essential characteristic. But if we're talking about the state or the condition that they're in, we're going to use estar. Los estudiantes están callados, so students are quiet. So that's not their essential characteristics, because we know children tend to be noisy and, just like kids are. So that's what we're just referring to, a state or a condition. So again, essential characteristic and state or condition. Again, what someone is, so what someone is, we use ser, in this case they're young, and how someone is, we use estar. In that case, they're quiet. So this is a very quick overview and introduction of the main components of ser and estar. We learned about essential characteristics for ser, and we talked about state or conditions, and that's when we're going to use estar. So I hope this made sense, and in the following videos we're going to go deeper into these differences and talk about other differences and other uses that ser and estar have.